It is a general knowledge of Constitution of India. Because in 1 hour and 15 minutes, we are going to see the important features of Constitution of India. And as I want to make it clear, that neither you and neither I am a legal or jurisprudence expert in this, but let's go through some important features through the Constitution of India. Next. So, first question which arises is like, why Constitution of India? So, as you know, before, many have seen the building of houses and all, the basic thing which is first taken before building a house is the foundation of that house. So that building or house, how it is standing, it depends on how much strong the foundation is. So foundation, as the name suggests, is the basic pillar or basic the foundation of all the building. So in the similar sense, for any country to run, there should be some ground rules. So that ground rules is majorly known as a constitution. That constitution can be written or unwritten depending on the requirement. Like America has a constitution which is unwritten, unlike England and India which have a written constitution. So basically constitution is a basic fundamental law of the land, like which is supreme over all the other rules, statutes and other acts. All the powers and all the, like if we say, functions of the country are derived from this basic foundation law. So as we got independence on 15 August 1947. So the first thing which our constitution makers or freedom fighters wanted, that our independent country should have a constitution of itself, which would be designed and written by the people of India. So before that, as you know, any country, any colony, everything will have some laws. So before constitution also there were different statutes which were used by British India to rule over the Indian colony. So some of the famous statutes which were pre-independence were Indian Councils Act of 1861, 92, 1909. Then after that, there started Government of India Act of 1919, 1935. And then the last act which Government of England enacted for India was Indian Independence Act of 1947. Bear in mind, this Indian Independence Act of 1947 was enacted in British Parliament, not the Indian Parliament. By this act, British relinquished its control over the Indian colony and India is declared as a Dominion status or Dominion colony of British. So, in these all the laws, as you know, British didn't wanted to have a welfare country. They just wanted to run a colony, get some economic benefits, and control different peoples, different sections, and different agitations for independence. So obviously, these acts were not aimed for welfare of people. So these acts were lacking in absence of like uniform civil code. There was no uniform civil code. Depending on the religion, there were different codes like Sharia or like our Manusmriti. Then there was absence of various fundamental rights, which we see today. Also, there was lack of representation from various sections of society. Either they may be linguistic minority or religious minority. So, after the independence, there came a demand for a new constitution by our freedom fighters. So let's go through some brief procedure like how our Indian Constitution has made. So as you know, in after the elections of 1946 for Constituent Assembly, this Constituent Assembly is different from our Parliament or Legislative Assembly. Its name, Constituent, suggests that the main function of this assembly is to draft a constitution. That's why it is a Constituent Assembly. And legislative assembly has a different function of legislating, like drafting the laws. So under cabinet mission plan in 1946, after elections, the Constituent Assembly of Indians were created, and the assembly has all the important persons of at that time, like various leaders, like that maybe Nehru, Jinnah, or whatever, like you can think of major leaders were the members of that assembly, with a bright exception that Mahatma Gandhi was not a member of that Constituent Assembly. Next. So in 1946, this Constituent Assembly met first time and it held its last session in 1949, November of 1949. So in these 2 years, 11 months and 18 days, briefly, like almost 3 years, our constitution is drafted. So before like drafting this constitution, our constitution makers has taken reference from all the countries. Like as you know, constitution is not anyone's copyright, or it is not having any novel features which were not earlier there in earlier constitution. Like if you want to build a house, you know there should be a living room, there should be a kitchen, there should be a bedroom, there should be a toilet. Similarly, the contours of constitution, what a constitution should have, like a basic definition of state, basic fundamental rights, basic duties, basic governance structures of center, state, how a trade should be constituted, how public services will be there. So this is already settled law which all topics should be included in constitution. So similarly, to get an idea, our constitution makers studied constitutions of almost 60 countries, and draft constitution was considered for like almost 4 months. And the expenditure for in these 3 years over making constitution is nearly 64 lakhs of that time, 1947. So the important task in this constitution was already, we know the name of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who was the chairman of drafting committee. Like as you know, the Constituent Assembly was constituting of almost 293 members. So it was not humanly possible to like draft each and every line by having 293 members present. So there was a subcommittee, like drafting committee was prepared having 7 members who actually prepared the initial draft of constitution. This draft was considered by Constituent Assembly. So the members are here on your screen, like D.R. Ambedkar was the chairman, as we already know, and then Gopal Swami Iyengar, Iyer, K. M. Munshi, Shadullah, etc. Next. So on the day of 26 November 1949, Indian Constitution has these three parts: one preamble on first page, 395 articles, and 8 schedules. And as we see now, like 2026, these 395 articles has become 472 articles. That 8 schedules has become 12 schedules. This shows that our constitution is very much evolving. It is not a static document or dead document. It is a very much living constitution that we are changing it with changing times. So we will also see the procedure of changing the constitution. So the one thing which we should all know, though preamble is the first page of constitution by which our constitution opens, but it was the last document which was enacted and adopted after entire constitution was already drafted. So let's go through some salient features of constitution. Like if someone asks me what do you know or how will you characterize Indian constitution? So as I have already said, 395 article, 8 schedules, it was the lengthiest written constitution. If you see American constitution which is unwritten, it is having only 2-digit articles, like almost I think 25 articles or something. And Indian constitution is having 395 articles. So there were some different factors which led to the elephantine size of constitution, like it was the lengthiest document. One is geographical factors. Obviously, India has a various geography from desert to various green forests to arid lands to hilly areas to plateaus and to islands. So to get various inclusiveness of these sections of society, various provisions were included. So that also led to vastness. Second is historical factor. As I have said, there were earlier laws of British due to which our country was regulated. So in that the important law was Government of India Act 1935. So there was a major portion of this act was as it is taken in constitution with some or little modification. So that act was already bulky. Third is single constitution for both the center and the states. So if you see, if you have heard, like Jammu and Kashmir before 2019 has a separate constitution. So that is was the only state having two constitutions. Like one is a state constitution and one is the Indian constitution. After 2019, we have abolished that constitution. So there is a single constitution for entire center, whichever your area of place may be, whichever state you reside, whichever religion, whichever caste you have, there is a single applicability of constitution. And fourth, as I have said, this constitutional movement was mainly spearheaded by barristers and advocates of that time. So Indian constitution obviously has that legal flowery language, which also led to dominance of that legal luminaries in assembly and led to vastness of the constitution. That was the first feature. So in these 395 articles, what was the scope of constitution? What different areas were covered in the constitution? First is you should know what is India. So that is defined in part 1, subject matter as union and its territory. What is a union? What is its territory? Which states are included? Which union territory? Which islands are part of India? Before applying any law, you should know the contour of the country. So that was defined first. Then you should know the people. Who are the people of India? So that is like a citizen. So how a citizenship should be. Then that citizens, what there will be entitlements and what their duties, fundamental rights, fundamental duties. Then after that, what will be the principles of state governance which will be followed to run a country? That is in directive principles of state policy. After that, how a union government will run, how a state government will run, various provisions were given, like executive, parliament, how parliament will run, how the lawmaking will work, legislative power of president, union judiciary, then some different constitutional bodies like Controller Auditor General of India. Similarly, counterparts in state government like executive, here is also executive, there is parliament, here is state legislative assembly. Next. There were legislative powers of president, here legislative powers of governor, there were Supreme Court, here High Court and subordinate court. Then after that, union territories, then panchayats, then municipalities, cooperative societies, scheduled and tribal areas. We have in fact defined in constitution only how a scheduled area will be governed and how a tribal area will be governed. So if you see these basic nuances, you will know that Indian constitution is exhaustive. No other constitution of any other country have defined these little nitties and gritties of governance. Then after that, like properties, contracts, suits, borrowing, how a government can borrow, then various right to property, how a trade and commerce will be governed in India. And like for any country to run, there should be obviously people who run the country. So there are different services which is also defined under this constitution. Then after that, elections, how election will be held. Then there are certain provisions related to certain classes and certain states. Then there is a definition like what will be the official language of state, what is the official language of the union. Then there is some unique provision of like emergency provision, like if there is some emergency, how country will be governed. Then amendment, like as I have already said, the Indian Constitution is a live document, so how it will be amended. So all this is the scope of Indian Constitution. Now we will see in brief some of the important topics from this. Now you are seeing what is there in Constitution. So second feature is it is drawn from various sources. As I have already told, it is majorly drawn from Government of India Act. So these are some features which were taken from this act, like Office of Governor, Public Service Commission, emergency provision. These were already there in 1935 Act, and we have taken these features from that act to our Indian Constitution. Then from different constitution of different countries, we have taken different features. Like from British, we have taken parliamentary government, cabinet system, rule of law. Next. From US, we have taken fundamental rights, independence of judiciary, impeachment of the president is taken from US. Then from Irish constitution, it was we have taken an important principle of directive principle of state policy and how Rajya Sabha members will be elected. Then from Canadian constitution, we have taken a strong center. Like as you know, everything is defined in constitution, but it's still a question arises is whether this right will be with center or state. Then obviously the residuary power will be with the center. So you know, compared to state, center is more stronger in India. Then from Australian constitution, we have taken freedom of trade, commerce. Then from Germany constitution, we have taken emergency, suspension of fundamental rights during emergency. From Soviet constitution, which is now Russia, we have taken fundamental duties. As you know, USSR was a socialist country. So there was a concept of citizens should also have duties towards nation. So that was taken from there. Then from French, we have taken liberty, equality, fraternity. South Africa, we have taken amendment procedure of constitution, one of the important provision. Next. Then as I have told already, there were 395 articles initially and now we have 480 articles. So like in these 75 years of our independence, we have amended the Indian Constitution more than 100 times. So obviously it has a amendability means it is a blend of rigidity and flexibility. Like we can easily amend also, and there are some restrictions also, so that we should not overturn the spirit of the constitution. So under Article 368, there is an amending power by which Parliament can amend various features of the Constitution. We will see like during using this Article 368, though various features can be amended, but overall Constitution cannot be changed. The basic structure of the Constitution will have to be there. Like India is a democracy, whichever government will be there, how many seats they want, they cannot overturn that democracy to autocracy, because democracy is the basic structure. So Article 368 gives power to Parliament to amend, but it is not unlimited power. It is a limited power with reasonable restrictions. So that basic structure was defined after 1973 in Keswananda Bharti case. These limitations were placed on Parliament's power. So we will see these also in detail on next pages, like what are the some basic features of Indian Constitution. After that, federal system with unitary bias, as I already told, there is a division of power between center and state. Like police is under state, but if you see defense, that is under center. So there is division of subjects and there is a regional autonomy to state. But if there is a question arises of mismatch or residual power, then obviously center is more powerful, because governor is also appointed by the center, which works in the state. Then after that, parliamentary form of government, it is also one of the feature. Parliamentary form is different from presidential form as we see in the United States of America. In parliamentary form, there is an executive which is responsible for parliament. Like our honorable PM is currently responsible to parliament, but in USA, the president of USA is not responsible to Senate. Then after that, there is a nominal and mere executive. As we see, there is a president in whose name all the decisions are taken, but actual power is with the honorable PM of India. Then after that, in India, there can be dissolution of lower house. Lok Sabha can be dissolved, but in America, there is no provision of dissolving the lower house there, because president is not responsible to legislative assembly there. After that, there are different fundamental rights in Indian Constitution. The brief headings is like right to equality. Indian equality, like one is like equality before law and equal protection of law. Uh, Whichever is your religion, whichever is your caste, whichever is your color, creed, place of birth, all citizens of India are entitled to equality before law and equal protection of law. Then after that, there cannot be a discrimination on certain grounds like religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. Then after that, there is the abolition of untouchability. As you have seen, like for centuries, the certain castes which are defined as scheduled castes have suffered from the untouchability. So our constitution has taken due care of defining this right in constitution itself. After that, to make equality sound profound, there is abolition of titles. Like no one can use the titles like Raja, Maharaj, Rajadhiraj, and etc. All the titles were abolished so that all the persons are same before the law. Then after the second right is right to freedom. That freedom consists of different rights, like one is the freedom of speech and expression, like everyone can openly express their opinion. Right to freedom of assemble, you can assemble, have an association, like you can have any cooperative society, political party, or any certain kind of association. You can freely move toward all over India, you can reside in anywhere in India, you can practice any profession. Then after that, there is a protection in respect of conviction for offences. Like there cannot be double jeopardy or double conviction for a single offence. Then after that, right to life. Ki, life is not a mere animal existence, but when a citizen or a person has right to life, it means living with dignity. So now in the paper you see right to clean environment, right to health, right to all these kind of things is emanating from this right to life. This has a very vastly interpreted by our Supreme Court of India. So all different rights emanate from this, because right to life is not merely animal existence. It is with a dignity. Then after that, right to education, it is also a fundamental right for up to 6 to 14 years. Every child is eligible for right to education. Then protection against arrest and detention. No person can be arrested or detained more than 3 months. Then after that, right against exploitation, prohibition of traffic in human beings and forced labor. So earlier there was used to be slave trade, and like there will be wet bigar and forced labor which we see in agriculture. These were also abolished in our constitution. Next. Then prohibition of employment in children in factories. No child under 14 years of age can be employed in any factories or hazardous industries. So, if you go through these rights, you will know that the Indian Constitution has defined the rights with very much precision and very much vastness. Then after that, right to freedom of religion, like anyone can have any religion, can practice that religion, propagate that religion. You can manage various religious affairs like every mosque committee, temple committee, church committee is free to manage their religious affairs. Then there will be freedom from taxation for promotion of a religion. Then there is freedom from attending religious instruction. Like there cannot be a compulsion to attend any religious instruction in government-aided educational institutions or government institutions. Convent schools are not included in this because they are not a government institution. They are run by private endowments or trusts where religious instruction is allowed. Then after that, cultural and educational rights are there. Like various minorities can protect their language, script, culture. Tribal people can protect their culture, their various practices, and their various consumer laws. Then after that, right of minorities to establish and administer educational institutions so that their language can be preserved, their culture can be preserved, they can have their own educational institutions. After that, the most important right which Dr. Baba Ambedkar has said that the soul of Indian Constitution is right to constitutional remedies. All other rights will have no meaning if you cannot move to the court for their non-enforcement. So under Article 32, you can directly move to the Supreme Court of India for any violation of right. So this is the biggest and most important right to constitutional remedy. So obviously, as you see, the basic spirit of these rights is equality, freedom, participation, culture. So it is for promoting the political democracy in India, so that each and every person can have political rights in country, and they operate as a limitation on state government, so that these rights or these various limitations on state were not violated by constitution or state government by bringing laws which are contrary to these rights. So they are a limitation on government. Like government cannot take away these rights. That's why these are known as fundamental rights. There are various rights, statutory rights which are given by a law. There are non-constitutional rights which are not in constitution. There are different constitutional rights. Right? You cannot see right to vote here and right to trade here. These are included in later part of constitution. So they are constitutional right but not a fundamental right. So fundamental right is which cannot be breached or taken away easily by government. Then after that, as I have said, there are some rights which you might think these are also right, but these are not enlisted. So these are some rights like right to vote. It is there in Article 326, right to property. It is in Article 320A, right to trade. It is in Article 301. So these are constitutional rights, but not fundamental rights. So now let's see, as you know, the election is a basic feature of Indian democracy. So there can be a different government in next 5 years. There were previous governments. There were different governments in 1970s. There were Janata government in 1980s. But all these governments should strive for certain basic principles. Like they should have basic agenda. They should strive for welfare state. For a welfare state, what should the government do to become like the nation evolves and all the citizens should live happily? So these are the basic features which acts as a instruction on state policy. Like any government cannot uh, go beyond this. Like any government will have to work in these contours, like equal justice and free legal aid. Government should provide organization of village panchayat. Then right to work, education should be given in certain cases. Then like maternity relief, conditions of work should be humane. Then the living wage should be there. As you know, you get wages for salary, but that should be certain minimum wage, which is living wage. Like you can have food, basic your clothing, shelter, and basic like education and basic recreation facilities. So that living wage should also be promoted by government. Then there is like promotion of cooperative societies. Then after that, uniform civil code. Civil code means like various matters which govern with like marriages, divorce, inheritance. These are basic things which are called as civil code. So currently, like different religion and different tribal sections have different codes appearing on them. Like for Muslim, there is the Sharia. For Hindu, there is the Hindu code bill. So instead of that, there is the aspiration that we should bring sometime uniform civil code for all the citizens, so that all citizens are governed by the same yardstick. Then after that, like childhood care for children less than 6 years. Then scheduled caste and scheduled tribes and weaker sections, for there should be a promotion of their education and their economic opportunities. Then there should be nutrition and health should be promoted among citizens. Then after that, agriculture and animal husbandry should be organized on scientific lines. ICAR organization is emanated from this DPSP Article 48. If you see, the state government should strive for or agriculture and animal husbandry on scientific line. So that's why ICAR is created. Then after that, environment is there, protection of environment, wildlife. Then 50, judiciary and executive should be separation to avoid the concentration of power. Then the country should strive for international peace and security. As we see, though India is a sovereign and independent, it is a member of international bodies like United Nations, BRICS, SCO. So these are all directive principles of state policy. Then, as you have seen, the constitution makers have drafted fundamental rights and directive principles for state. What should be the rights of citizens and what state government should do. But after emergency during 1975, there was a need felt that though citizens are enjoying rights, they should also owe certain duties to the nation, so that they should also feel they have certain obligation towards nation. So based on Swaran Singh committee, these were not initially there in 1947. These duties were added in 1975. So they serve as a reminder that though they have rights, they also have some duties towards the country. So there are some duties like you should respect national flag, national anthem, you should maintain brotherhood, you should have respect towards our noble ideas of freedom, struggle. Then there is like you should provide national service when called upon to do so. You should respect like animals, environment. Then after that, you should preserve the rich heritage of country. You see various archaeological sites, forts. This is also one of the duty of citizen to preserve that heritage. Next. Then towards environment, then it is everyone's duty to protect forests, lakes, wildlife, and have a compassion towards animals. Then like to promote reasoning, there is a one of the duty like one should develop scientific temper, humanism, so that there should not be any superstition. We should not promote as a superstition, but there should be logical reasoning or scientific thinking of every citizen. Then we should abjure violence. We should remain with the brotherhood. So these are some duties which every citizen is expected to have obligation towards the nation. Next. Then next feature of constitution is the secular state. If you see our neighboring countries, Pakistan, Bangladesh, then Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, these countries have one religion which is their official religion. Like Pakistan has Islam, then you see in Middle East, Saudi Arabia also has Islam. So like different countries have some religion which is their official religion. But though our neighboring countries have their official religion like Bangladesh and Pakistan, India has taken a novel decision to not have any official religion. So in this context, India is a secular state. We respect all the religions and protect all the religions equally. So no religion is above and below, all are equal before the eyes of the government. Then after that, one of the bold decisions which our constitution makers took was giving a right to vote to every person, irrespective of race, religion, sex, literacy, wealth, and so on. Every person greater than 18 years of age was entitled for right to vote. So just to clarify how it was important, if you see the right to vote to female in Western countries was literally given up to 1970s and 80s. But our country, though very less developed, literacy was almost 14%, we still trusted our every citizen to cast a right to vote in the elections by his conscience of mind. So this was a very bold move by a developing country to give a right to vote to all adult citizens. Then single citizenship is there. If you see in USA, there are dual citizenship. One is a citizen. Every citizen is a citizen of USA and citizen of that state. Like if you belong to Washington, you will be a citizen of Washington, Texas, Florida. So you will have dual citizenship. But to avoid any regional consideration, like if someone is from Maharashtra, then he will have more affinity towards Maharashtra. Someone will be from Kerala, he will have more affinity towards Kerala. To avoid all this and bind the country from like the horrors of partition, India has provided a single citizenship. Every citizen has a single citizenship of only India. There is no concept of state citizenship. Then to work this all the constitution, there are some independent bodies which act as a check on government of India so that there is a not violation of the spirit of constitution. So there are different independent bodies which we will see, which are known as constitutional bodies. Then after that, to maintain unity, integrity and harmony in the nation and to enable president to meet any extraordinary situation, like there is a war or like there is an internal rebellion or there is a financial crunch, to safeguard this integrity and unity, there is some emergency provisions during which the other provisions of constitution is suspended and state becomes unitary. Then the governance of India is having various three types of government. One is the like union government, if you call it, and second is federal government, state government, and third is the local government. So this is also defined in Indian constitution only. There is no other constitution in which panchayat and municipality has been defined in constitution. There are panchayats and municipalities in different countries, but they are not defined in constitution of their country. But we have defined it by 73rd and 74th Amendment. So, as told, these are the basic broad features which define or which are the characteristics of Indian Constitution. So, after drafting this whole Constitution, as I have told, the preamble is adopted at the end of that. So, if we go through the preamble, you will see that the summary of all these articles 395 is reflected in these 10 to 15 lines. I will just read it out. So you will see that all that broad features of various articles have its soul in this preamble. Like people of India has given this constitution to self. It is a sovereign, it is socialist, secular, democratic, republic. Then there is a justice, social, economical, political. There is liberty, you have seen it, right to freedom. Then there is right to equality, then fraternity. And there is a date on which this constitution is adopted, like 26th day of November 1949, means we the people have given this constitution to ourselves. So it is like by the people, for the people. So as you see, this preamble reflects the basic summary of overall constitution. So that's why whenever we have to decide in certain cases, so we Supreme Court and various different courts sometimes take the help of preamble. Like what is the spirit of constitution? So this is the spirit of constitution. What we wanted to achieve. Like we wanted to achieve a sovereign republic. We wanted to give justice. We wanted to give liberty. We wanted to give equality. And by different articles, we have tried to achieve this spirit. Okay, next. So that preamble is also known as, that's the identity card of the constitution, because it summarizes whole bulky constitution into a single page with some 10-15 lines, where from which you can get an idea of constitution. So one by one, just I will give a brief what these words mean, which are used in constitution. Like sovereign means now India is neither dependency, neither dominion, no country, no organization controls India. India is a sovereign. It can decide any affairs for itself. Like you see, there is a pressure from USA, there is pressure from like Russia and all, but still we take our decisions independently. So that is the word sovereign. Then socialist. You have seen in directive principles, like we have to provide living wage, we have to do employment, education, we have to give certain provisions for scheduled caste, scheduled tribe. So these are like welfareist tendencies which are generally related with socialist nation like USSR and all. So India wanted to also achieve a socialist undertone, not a capitalist undertone like we see in Western countries. Then after that, India is a secular, there is no state official religion, all religions are equal in India. Then democratic, as I have said, it is popular sovereignty. In Britain, there is a sovereignty of British king. Though it is a namesake, but it is a not a republic, it is a monarchy. But here in India, it is a democratic, it is of the people, by the people, for the people. And also India is a republic. There is no king or hereditary queens. The president, which is the head of state, is elected, and as we have seen, India has seen all male, female, all kinds of, and all different kinds of religious persons as a president. So anyone can become a president of India. So that's why it is a republic. It is not a monarchy. Then justice, we want to achieve three types of justices. Social justice means there should not be any discrimination in society. Economic justice means every person have a minimum income, minimum wealth. Then political justice, like everyone should have equal political rights, right to vote, right to form political. Then liberty. Uh, please mute yourself. Then liberty, there is like any individual has all the rights through which he can develop into a good person, a good citizen. So there is no restraint on the activities of individual. Next. Equality, there is no social privilege to any class of section, race, caste, religion, all are equal, there is no discrimination. Then fraternity, we are all bounded by a single citizenship. If all our fellows are Indian citizens, it develops a sense of brotherhood. Then unity and integrity. So that unity and integrity is territorial, like whole India is a single country, and also psychological. Like we have not given any regional citizenship, we have not promoted any linguistic rights, so that like that Hindi or other language only you have to come so that you can become a citizen, or like you can have a different right. So to avoid that psychological inferiority, like there is communism, regionalism, we have given us same kind of rights to all the citizens of India. So these keywords are so much vast and it specifies this much various spirit of Indian Constitution. So now this is like a basic general. We have seen that any citizen of India should know this basic knowledge of Indian Constitution. But as you, me, and all are we are citizen of India also, and we are also a servant of India. So we should know some extra features also in Constitution as a service persons which we provide services to other citizens. So you should know how Indian Constitution is amended. You should also know what is the basic structure, what is the emergency provisions, what are the governance structure of India, what is the different judiciary, what are different constitutional bodies, because you are part of the government. You are a citizen also, but in addition to that, you are a part of government. You are a servant which provides services to all the fellow citizens. So we will go through some extra points of citizen constitution like amendment. So you have seen like there are 106 amendments till date. We have amended constitution. So there are like some significant amendments. Amendment is like the Indian constitution was lacking something, or these features were not there initially, but later words Indian government felt the need to add these things. We have added these things by amending the constitution. So some is like one is seventh amendment by which we see current classification. Earlier there were four categories of states: Part A, Part B, Part C. This time. Now there are only two categories of state. One is a state and one is the union territory. This is by seventh amendment. Then after that, 24th amendment, Parliament said that it can amend any part of constitution. Obviously, Supreme Court then restricted in Keshwananda Bharti case that you cannot amend any part. The basic structure cannot be amended. Then after that, 42nd constitutional amendment, you will be knowing this. It was during the emergency during 1975 and 76. So it is also known as the mini constitution because it was a much lengthier amendment. Some features were like the fundamental duties were added, tribunals added, judicial review powers of courts were curtailed during emergency. Proclamation of national emergency were done using this. Then after that, Janata government came and it tried to undo the evils of 42nd Amendment. So that was 44th Amendment. And after that, 52nd Amendment and defection law came. Like after election, if you change the party, your membership of the legislature is removed. You become debarred from participating. So that was added in 52nd. Then after that, 61st Constitution Amendment. Earlier, voting age was 21 years. Afterwards, it was reduced to 18 years. Then, as I already told, 73rd, 74th, Panchayati Raj institution, urban local bodies were added to make the democracy reach the grassroots. Then after that, 86th Constitutional Amendment made elementary education for 6 to 14 years of people fundamental right. Means if any child is between 6 to 14 years and he is not getting education, he can go against government in the court for right to education. Then after that, 99th Constitutional Amendment, new body called NJAC, National Judicial Appointment Commission, was prepared for appointing Supreme Court judges and High Court judges. Then obviously it was judicially reviewed and Supreme Court declared that this judicial amendment is unconstitutional and hence this body was scrapped. And earlier provision of collegial system of appointment is still continuing for High Court and Supreme Court judges. After that, the famous GST Council and GST regime came through one not first constitutional amendment in 2016. Then after that, these were some important provisions which were added. Then as I have told, if there is a right to amendment, Parliament can amend anything. And like you can change the whole soul or structure of the constitution, then obviously it is flaw or it is like one of the horror, like whole constitution can be changed. If you see in the history of Sri Lanka, each 3 to 5 years they have to draft a whole new constitution. Means like there were until I think 4 to 5 constitutions were drafted in Sri Lanka. Means their constitutions have not survived this test of time. But if we see the Indian constitution, it has been surviving from 75 years. And as per one study, any constitution of country has an average life of 17 years. Compare 17 years with 75 years. Means Indian constitution is a very well drafted and there are basic limitations on amendment power by which a basic structure, basic soul, basic foundation cannot be changed by parliament how much majority you have. So that limitation came in Keshwananda Bharati case. The parliament said you can amend certain things but you cannot change basic structure. So what is the basic structure? So it is very logical. Like you can also think of what should be the basic structure. So certain basic structure is like Parliament should have limited amending power. Country should be always secular. Like no country should come, no country or no government should come tomorrow in India which will say कि Hinduism is official religion or like the Islam is official religion. So it will not be possible in the future of country to declare any official religion because secularism is a basic structure. So no parliament can amend it. Parliamentary democracy, no one can say that it can become autocracy. Rule of law, there will always be a rule of law. Then supremacy of constitution. Whichever statute, whichever act, whichever rule you bring, no act can trump over the constitution. Constitution will always be supreme in India. Then separation of power between executive, legislature and judiciary. Federal character of constitution. Welfare state, judicial review and unity of nation. No state can claim that I want to become an independent nation. Like Kashmir cannot claim it want to succeed away from India. So unity is the basic feature. Then afterwards, I have told in the life of a country, there come certain situations which cannot be dealt by routine laws and routine procedures. For these situations, extraordinary time requires extraordinary powers. So there were provision of emergency provisions to meet abnormal situations of the country so that sovereignty of the country, unity, security of the country and democratic system of the country is preserved. So during these emergency times, our federal structure becomes a unitary structure and all the powers are vested in the center. As we have seen in 1962 war with China, 1975 emergency, internal emergency, these kind of things give certain extra powers to center to deal with emergency provision. So what are different kind of emergency? There can be three types of emergency. One is like national emergency can be there. You have heard of this, like Indira Gandhi has declared national emergency in 1975. So it can be declared on the ground of there should be a war, or there should be external aggression, or there should be external attack on the country, or there is an armed rebellion within the country. Then only national emergency can be declared. And obviously, when national emergency is declared, life of Lok Sabha, which is generally 5 years, it is extended. Fundamental rights are suspended. Center-state relations undergo different changes, and center becomes powerful. So second kind of emergency is president's rule, which you see generally in the state. When state fails to run its administration by Constitution of India, President of India can impose president's rule. Then Council of Ministers and Chief Minister is dissolved in that state, and State Legislative Assembly is dissolved, and it is run through governor. You have seen this in Punjab in 1985, in Maharashtra also, when there was no government, majority was there to form government, president rule is imposed. Then third is like when there is a financial crunch, there can be financial emergency, when there is a threat to financial stability. There are about two types of emergency, like president's rule and national emergency has been imposed various times in the country, but not a single time yet financial emergency has been imposed in India. Then basic governance structure, as you already know, there is the central government, state government, local government. So there are these kind of different functionaries works under different governments. Like in central government, you have a president, you have a governor, then there is the vice president, there is no counterpart here. Then there is the prime minister and council of minister, there is the chief minister. Lok Sabha, here you have Vidhan Sabha. There is the Rajya Sabha, either you have Vidhan Parishad. There is the Attorney General of India, which is a law officer, and here Advocate General of State. So these are the counterparts. Like these two governments run parallelly. They have different powers of their own. They will not contradict, or they will not have a controversy over same power, because their powers are also defined in Schedule 7. So there is three types of list is there: union list, state list, and concurrent list. Obviously, if you know union list, which matters will be there in union list, which are important for national level, like defense, armed forces, atomic energy, citizenship. These are important on national level. So state government will not have power to make law, but only union government can make law. Then obviously the matters which are of local importance, state government will have the power to permit diversity and inclusiveness. So in that, like police, land, next. State government can make laws in these subjects, but there can be certain subjects which will not fall either in state list or union list, where uniformity is desirable but not compulsory. Like criminal law, there can be different punishments for same crime in different states, but there is uniformity is desirable but not compulsory. Marriage, divorce, forest. So these things are kept in concurrent list, where state government also and central also can make the laws. But obviously, if central government law is already there, then central government law will prevail over state government law. So these powers uh, prevent any contradiction or any controversy between the various jurisdictions of central and state. Then apart from that, we have even given powers to local government. There are two types of local government, as you see in day-to-day life. One is panchayat, you must have heard, and another is like nagarpalika, mahanagarpalika, which is called as urban local government. So in rural area, through 73rd Constitutional Amendment, we have created Panchayati Raj, through which there is like Gram Sabha, through which people, all the people residing in that village can participate, all the adult participants. Means we have taken a democracy from our parliament to grassroots, to the doors of citizens. And they can work as a local self-government. They are given some petty powers also. They can decide that local issues, so that every person can get a taste of how a country is run. Then similarly in urban area, there is urban local government. There are various 8 types. You have only heard of municipal corporation. But apart from that, there are these 7 types of urban local government. Total 8. Municipal corporation, municipality, notified area committee, town area committee, cantonment board, township, port trust, special purpose agency. And the powers of these rural government and local government bodies is defined in Schedule 11 and Schedule 12 respectively. Like if you want to make a crematorium, why the state or center should have a power for crematorium? A state, local government can decide on a crematorium. Where you want local roads, local government can decide. So these petty powers are given to local government. So apart from that, judiciary is an important aspect. So India has an integrated judiciary. Like India has a three-tier judiciary: Supreme Court at the apex, then High Courts, then subordinate court, which includes district and other courts. But if you see in USA, there is the Supreme Court of USA and there are various federal courts of various states. So these Supreme Court can only impose laws of central government in USA, and the federal court can only impose the laws of federal or states. But in India, every court can impose or decide on all the laws of central and state government. That's why it is integrated. The High Court also can have, Supreme Court also can say on the same act its various judgments. So it enforces both central law as well as state law. So that's why you have various hierarchy. Earlier you can go to district court, then if you are not expert you can go to high court, then you can go to Supreme Court. Okay. Then then as you have seen the appointment of Supreme Court and High Court, it is done by a collegium system. As you have seen, we have brought a NGAC, National Judicial Appointment Commission, but Supreme Court struck it down. So currently the Supreme Courts and High Court judges are appointed through judiciary itself. They recommend the names of judiciary persons which are to be appointed. They are forwarded to President's office. Then President endorses it and issues the order. So that is known as the collegium system. Then after that, our Supreme Court has a power of judicial review. Any act, any rule, and any constitutional amendment, you can challenge in the Supreme Court that it is violates fundamental rights and all. Supreme Court and High Court can decide on the constitutionality of the laws and acts. In the British country, in England, the Supreme Court of that country doesn't have this power of judicial review because there is a parliament is supreme. But in India, constitution is supreme. So if any law violates constitution, it can be struck down. Then let's see what are the hierarchy in state. High courts. Then under High Court, there is the district court and session judge court. Then from here, the lower judiciary separates into two sides, civil side and criminal side. In district civil side is like the such laws which are like not of criminal nature, which are like petty, like some involving some money or involving some personal relations. So there is no jail term is involved in that. So that's why it is known as civil cases. And in criminal cases, is like various heinous crimes or which are crimes against society, like violence, murder. These kind of cases are dealt in criminal side. So in civil side, there is subordinate judge court. Municipal court is the lowest court. In criminal side, there is chief judicial magistrate court and judicial magistrate court. These judges are recruited through state public service commissions. Okay. Then, as I have told, to implement this constitution and to check whether government is working within the limits imposed by the constitution, there are various bodies which have been included as the bulwarks of democracy to check various provisions of constitution whether they are followed or not. So there are some various important bodies which helps in maintaining the spirit of constitution. One is election commission, which oversees the fair and timely conduct of election. Then second is recruitment. Recruitment is also important. It should be fair and it should be timely. UPSC and SPSC, State Public Service Commission, does the recruitment on the basis of merit. Then Finance Commission, then GST Council, it is also a constitutional body. Then for various backward sections, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, there is a commission to see and evaluate their conditions. Then for minority, there is also a special officer. Then to audit all the funding and all the expenditure of India. As you also know, our offices gets audited annually. So there is a apex institution which audits. It is a CAP. It is a constitutional body, Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Then Attorney General of India, which is the senior-most law officer of central government. Then Advocate General of State. It is a law officer of state, which represents state side in the court. Next. So these bodies help maintain the constitution and spirit of constitution is implemented by these constitutional bodies. Hence, they are known as bulwarks of democracy. Now, as I have told, on the ground root level, you, me, and all like nearly 54 lakh employees are working. So these are all known as public servants, which are providing their public services. We have also defined this also in our constitution. In what kind of public services will be there under Constitution of India. So there are mainly three kind of services: All India service, central service, state service. So obviously All India service will be those services which can serve in central government also, state government also. You might have heard of IS, IPS, IFS. IFS is Indian Forest Service. Only these three services are All India service, which are recruited by the central government, by UPSC, but appointed and given posting in different states. And they are controlled jointly by central and state government. Like if you are an IPS, you will be controlled by state government also, and you will be controlled by Ministry of Home Affairs. If you are forest officer, you will be controlled by that state government and Ministry of Environment. So they will be dual control. Then in central services, they exclusively work under the jurisdiction of central government. These are further classified into Group A, Group B, Group C, and Group D services. And in this, the highest service is Indian Foreign Service, and there are 24 kind of services almost there, like IRS, IPTS, Postal Service, Railway Protection Service, Trade Service, Corporate Law Service. These are all recruited through UPSC. Then after that, state services, which are recruited through SPSC, and they work exclusively under the state government, like RAS, Rajasthan Administrative Service, Andhra Pradesh Civil Service. These are the civil servants which help run the machinery of constitution and government. So these public servants have also given some powers, and how they will be recruited is defined in constitution itself. Article 309 says Parliament and state legislature will regulate the recruitment and service condition. How a recruitment will happen for Group A officer, B officer, C officers will be defined by the acts of Parliament and legislature. Then after that, no civil servant or civil service employee can be removed on the whims and fancies of controlling authority. There are some safeguards to civil servant. There are two safeguards which are defined in constitution. One is you cannot be dismissed or removed by an authority subordinate to that which was appointed. Like if you are an LDCE or UDC, there your appointing authority is director. So obviously you cannot be removed by a person lower than that, head of office, head of finance, whichever is there. They can only like penalize you or recommend you for any departmental action. But final removal order will be of appointing authority. Then after that, you cannot be dismissed or removed. Any public servant cannot be dismissed without being informed of charges against him, like what are the charges, and giving him a reasonable opportunity of presenting his case, like why he is not guilty or why some action should not be taken against him. So these safeguards are also included in Indian Constitution. No other constitution of any country has this safeguard for civil servants in constitution of their country. Then Article 312 says that Parliament can create more All India services if Rajya Sabha passes resolutions. Currently, there are only three All India service: IS, IPS, IFS. But Rajya Sabha can recommend more. So we have seen all the basic features of constitution. Like you know now general features of constitution, each and every part. Like obviously you cannot become an expert in like 60 to 70 minutes. But you have seen like what are the basic contours of constitution, what is there in constitution. So in this 70-75 years, if we see our constitution has still been surviving and still it is strong. So what is the role of constitution in strengthening democracy in India? How it has survived? So it has given a birth to republic. Before that, we were being ruled as a dominion of British, but after constitution, we become a republic. After that, there was a welfare state we have become. There were some welfare principles like living wage, education, work, employment, maternity benefits were included in DPSP. So all the states have promoted that. Maternity benefit act is there. If there is a female employee, you get 26 weeks of paid leave. So this emanates from our constitution only. Then there were emergency provision which helped surviving Indian democracy during various Chinese war, Pakistani war, internal rebellion in 1975. But you see, in Pakistan, there is a less democratic years than military years. You might have remember that Pervez Musharraf and all. So that constitution cannot survive the leadership of military. But in India, elected government is more powerful than military. So all the 75 years, India was a democracy. There was not a single instance of military rule. Then after that, local self-government is there, which empowers grassroots democracy. Towns, villages, municipalities, local participation is there. Then after that, Indian Constitution has given a fundamental rights which are very vast and promotes political democracy. Then there are free and fair periodic election. Whatever majority you have, each 5 years you have to contest elections. Then there is a protection of minority and vulnerable groups so that each person feels safe. Their religious right, linguistic right, cultural rights are protected in India. Otherwise, as you see in like Pakistan, in Bangladesh, or in Sri Lanka, there are various atrocities done on like Ahmadiyya communities, Hindu communities, Christian communities. But there is no such cases because there is a protection in Indian Constitution. After that, there is a freedom of press and expression. You can criticize government working. There is no restriction or there is no censorship as you can see in Russia and all kind of countries. Then there is like social justice. There is no discrimination based on race, caste, gender. There is equality. There is no untouchability. All persons are equal. Then after that, there are constitutional bodies which have helped maintain transparency, accountability, and unity and integrity of governance structure like election commission, UPSC. Next. Then there is the flexibility through amendment. As we evolve, the requirements of 1950s and requirements of 25 are different, but we can easily amend the constitution through Article 368, and our constitution is living document. It is not a static document that we cannot add. Then there are various citizen responsibilities, various citizen duties are also enumerated in constitution. And whenever a question arises, like to decide any judgment or like whenever you are taking a decision, as you say, there are sometimes discretion in the rules. When you decide to put up a file, when you decide to take a decision, you should always remember the spirit of constitution, like what our constitution wants to promote. Our constitution wants to promote democratic ideals, freedom, republic. So whenever you have a discretion, like think of this, like if my decision will help maintain the spirit of constitution or am I going against the spirit of constitution? So it will act as a moral compass in judiciary, in legislature, and in our day-to-day decisions, in our office environment, in our filing system. So this constitution has helped make India a strongest and largest, biggest democracy of India. With this, I complete my side of lecture. And if anyone has any doubts, they can like raise hand or have some their queries typed in the box. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. अनम्यूट कर दीजिए या जिसको डाउट्स वगैरह है अनम्यूट करके पूछिए